All right, now to give us more perspective in terms of what is happening at this moment of this conflict, we're being joined by Mr. Scott Lucas, who's a professor of international politics at the Clinton Institute University College in Dublin. He's joining us live from Birmingham. Mr. Lucas, this is an interesting and an important moment in this war. The Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati has said that according to the American ambassador there, he believes that there could be a ceasefire before the 5th of November elections in the United States. What's your reading on this?
My reading is that someone needs to speak with the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We do know from Israeli media that there is a proposal which is being put around for a 60-day ceasefire. So you get a break in the Israeli military operations in Lebanon, and you attempt then to build up some type of negotiation, brokered negotiation between the Israeli government and Hezbollah. But we have had talk of a ceasefire, of course, time and time again with Israel's open-ended war on Gaza over the past 13 months. And every time we've had talk of having a ceasefire, it has tended to stop with Netanyahu. And the reason why you have to watch his position right now here is that if Netanyahu agrees to a ceasefire in Lebanon with Hezbollah, attention will return back to Gaza. And in recent days, the Israeli military and the defense minister behind the scenes are again criticizing Netanyahu for not putting a priority on getting the hostages back and for not accepting that it is impossible to destroy Hamas. That, in other words, returns us back into the position in September when Netanyahu was facing protests by hundreds of thousands of people over this inconclusive war in Gaza. If he stops fighting in Lebanon, he is back in that position again. Does he really want to go there?
You know, it's interesting as to how the Americans are looking at it, because on the one hand, they've been talking about a ceasefire and how they're trying to do everything possible, working day and night to bring about a ceasefire. But on the other hand, they have been sending weapons to the state of Israel to carry on with the war. Can there be a ceasefire so long as the United States of America continues sending weapons to the state of Israel?
Not unless Benjamin Netanyahu wants a ceasefire. I mean, you've summarized it very well, which is that the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, every time he goes out to the Middle East, and there have been, I think, 7, 8, 9 missions over the past 13 months, and he talks up the idea of a ceasefire. But the U.S. does not exercise its leverage against the Israelis, especially Netanyahu. And that is that you have to do two things, really. You have to come out for an unconditional ceasefire, and or you have to limit the military assistance. And what the U.S. has done is effectively given Netanyahu breathing space. And indeed, recall, they've done that just in the past week, because when the Israelis were blocking aid to northern Gaza, the U.S. said, oh, okay, you have 30 days to start resuming aid to Gaza. But of course, 30 days gives Netanyahu breathing space all the way up until the end of November.
Absolutely. And also looking at how the Americans have so far behaved in these negotiations, do you think the Americans are sincere when they say that they are working tirelessly for a ceasefire? And do you think that anything could change in Washington post the 5th of November if there's a change of guard at the White House? Do you think the American position on this war could change?
Let's take that in two stages. First, yeah, I do think that, you know, the U.S. government wants there to be a ceasefire. I don't think they want the open-ended killing of civilians. I don't think they want the instability across the Middle East. But the question here is how much do you want the ceasefire? You know, are you willing to draw that sharp distinction with Israel by cutting military arms, which not only, of course, forces a showdown with Netanyahu, it would have implications back home. And that brings me to the second part of the equation. If Kamala Harris wins the election next week, and of course this is a toss-up election, she has distanced herself from Joe Biden, at least in terms of her rhetoric. She has emphasized the need to get a settlement for Gaza civilians. Will she put her money or will she put her military aid where her mouth is and be tougher with the Israelis? That we don't know. What we do know is that if Donald Trump gets elected, he will go all out in support of Netanyahu, because he said that only a few days ago, and there will be absolutely no hope of U.S. pressure to try to get Israel to stop the military operations.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Lucas, for joining us and getting us that perspective there.
Thank you very much, and thanks to your viewers.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.